when I put these seals on, I like to put in just a real light coat of good quality grease. You can use some of the fork oil. In fact, I'm sure that's what some people would recommend. But this seems to work pretty good. I haven't had any problems yet, knock on wood. Be careful the way you put these in. Read the manufacturer's instructions. Sometimes they'll say put the writing up. This one happens to have a double lip down here and a single lip pointing up. The measurements on this seal are 36 inside, 48 outside, and 9.5 tall, just in case you were curious. And then it's just a matter of delicately but firmly condensing this seal that it needs to go in here. Now, probably one of your best friends in this situation is to have a nice rubber mallet handy and drive it in evenly. And that oil or that grease just kind of helps it slide into place. And we only need to seat this far enough to be able to get that retaining ring in there. You could also use a wooden mallet to kind of help drive this seal. And if you can't get it all the way in with just the mallet, you can take something soft, in this case just a scrap piece of wood, and just lightly drive it in until I get it past that. This thing's kind of dancing around. I'm actually going to see if I've got a socket that I can put over there. Apply that pressure evenly around it. Well, I didn't find a socket. I had one that was just slightly large, but I did find a piece of pipe here that I had, and it's pretty smooth, but I'm just going to go ahead and put a towel under there, protect it. Drive that seal in. Well, that was quite ridiculous. What I ended up doing was finding a plug from a hole saw, and it was the perfect diameter, and I was able to just knock it in there, keep it even all the way as it went down in. Now we can put that clip back in. It only needed to go in far enough to get past that groove. There we go. I've got everything cleaned up, and I've just gone through some quick inspections. I checked the O-ring on this. It's still round, it's still supple, so that's good. All the springs seem to be fine. There was some surface rust on this spacer, but I cleaned that out and it looks good. I looked at this piston, this damper rod, and there's some really minor scratches on the surface of this. I don't think they go very deep. I did some looking and some calling, and it turns out that I can't find just that ring. So I'd have to buy this whole entire piston. So I'm going to put this back in. I'm not too concerned about that. So everything is good. All the rods are straight. The springs are good. There's nothing that I'm too concerned about. Here's the old crush washer that goes over that hex bolt from the bottom. I've found some, and I'm going to replace those as well. I'm going to start assembling these forks, but it's going to be done in stages. And the reason I say that is I need to get this bottom hex head bolt set with some Loctite. But to do that, I basically have to put the whole fork together because I need pressure on this piston or this damper rod in order for me to torque down on this to get it tight. So assembly is just the opposite of the disassembly. We're going to put this piston in here first. And there is that spring on there, so you can use this larger spring here to kind of push it down the tube. Then we just need to find it down here in the end. There we go. Okay, so that's through there. Then we're going to put this aluminum fitting here. That's going to go down in through this lower tube.
One day me and you will go get some cordless drill sets. Unless you don't want one. You hear me? Mm-hmm. Here's my taser. Right there.
After I've got the fork temporarily assembled, I've got it locked in the triple clamp so that I can work on that Allen head bolt that's down here. Next thing I want to do is apply some blue Loctite to it, get it torqued out at 15 to 19 foot-pounds, and then I'm going to let that sit at least overnight before I add the oil. So I was having some trouble with this Allen head bolt. What was happening was everything inside was spinning, so I needed to compress this shock. And one of the ways that I've done this in the past is to put a couple of blocks down. This is so that the top valve here doesn't sit on the ground, and then I can compress down on it and turn that Allen head bolt. Okay. Now that I've got that Allen head bolt snug inside, I think I can torque it. There we go. That's at 15 to 19. I've set mine at 19 according to the manual. Now, I'm just going to let that sit overnight for that Loctite to cure, and then these forks will be ready to fill with oil. I apologize, my video got a little discombobulated there for a minute. Originally I had planned on putting the fork in the triple clamp temporarily and then setting the hex head bolt down here with the Loctite on it. As I was doing that, I could hear the internal springs and the damper just spinning. So to fix that problem, I took that fork off, inverted it, and set it between these two blocks. Nothing special about these, they just happen to be a couple of pieces of scrap. That way that the valve and the top cap didn't set on the ground. Then I could compress that spring and tighten that Allen bolt into place. Then, once I got it tight as far as I could get it with that Allen wrench, then I was actually able to torque this bolt down to 19 pounds. So I'm going to do that to the other fork and let these both sit, and they'll be ready for fork oil tomorrow. Now that that Loctite has set, I can go ahead and add the fork oil to these. To make this a little easier on myself, I'm actually going to remove some of the parts from inside the fork. Obviously, to get the oil in there, we have to remove this cap. After putting the fork oil in, we can put everything back together. Now I've cheated a little bit and I've moved these forks up so that when I go to tighten down this cap with my wrench, I don't have to worry about dinging any of the triple clamp here. Once I get this snugged up, then I can set these forks down where they belong. The final step to this is to set these forks in place. The service manual indicates that the top of this upper tube should be 2 millimeters below the top of this clamp. If my memory serves me correctly, when I first started this, it was flush with that upper clamp. That may just be from somebody doing some work on this and using that upper clamp surface as their reference. I've got my calipers set at 2 millimeters, so I'm going to lower this fork into place. Then I can start tightening these up. The only thing left now to do is torque these pinch bolts down. The upper pinch bolt ranges 12 to 16 foot-pounds. The lower pinch bolt ranges 25 to 33. Once the pinch bolts are torqued down, we're finished with the front forks. Hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching.